That's very good. Make it simple. Yes, thank you, Simplon. Make it simple. So, Pademelon. Let's talk about the Pademelon. People have been asking me about my suspension setup. The brakes are really good. I can tell you that. I can certainly say it is. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. Okay, people, we're back with a new video. The long-awaited bike check video of my Simplon Rapcon. I've spent a few months on it now. Yeah, I've been done a lot of testing, a lot of different parts. I've been over in Finale in Italy, as well as in Wales for about 6 weeks, doing lots of testing. Yeah, we're gonna do a rundown of all the parts, and then on my Instagram I also put in where people could ask me anything about the bike. So we're gonna go over that as well. I think we should just start with the heart of the bike, the frame. This is the Simplon Rapcon in size medium. It has a head tube angle of 64.5. The chainstay from the medium frame is 438 and the reach is 460. And the total wheelbase is 1229 as it sits here. It has frame storage, which is, to be fair, super cool. So I can just take off the bottle and then you have frame storage underneath. So you can put this little bag inside of the frame. I, for example, have a tube inside, as well as a CO2 cartridge and some tire levers. And then I usually put a multi-tool in my bib shorts. So basically with that setup, you can fix every bike or every mechanical issue with the tires. So that's basically the frame covered. I've tested the small size as well, but I figured that the medium size would fit me a little bit better. So that's where we stuck on when we did the testing in Italy. Now let's just jump in and start with the front of the bike, and we work our way down to the back. So starting on the front, we got BikeYoke 45mm stem. We got a new handlebar which is coming from BikeYoke, and it has a 770mm wide length. Some new TRP brakes on here, which are not available yet, but keep your eyes peeled because I think they will come out sooner or later. We got some custom grips. We got sandhit handguards, which, as people know from me, I love the sandhit handguards. I've been running them for the last 3 years and can't really take them off anymore. I just love it so much. As you could probably see from something which is up front here, is the steering damper. I'll get into that later into the video when we get to the questions of people from Instagram. Working our way down, we got a 170 Fox 38 with a new Grip X2 damper on the front. We also got a Fox mudguard on there for the winter rides, paired with a DT Swiss EX 1700 wheel. Schwalbe Magic Mary tires. Front, I have the radio casing. Moving to the brakes, as I said, we got prototype brakes on here. I can tell you something about the disc and brake pad setup. So we got a 203mm rotor up the front, and it has a thickness of 2.3mm with the resin brake pads, and there's no insert in the front, so that's basically all the front covered. Then once we move more to the back, in the middle of the bike, we got the Fox DHX2 shock, I believe. I tested the air shock as well and the coil, but I felt like I like the coil a bit more. For me, it has some more mid-stroke support compared to the air shock, which, to be fair, I actually didn't expect. But yeah, I came to this setup. It's nice because it has a lockout on it as well, which actually works. On the spring rate, I'm at a 500-pound spring, so that's the shock. We got a Fidlock compact 750ml bottle on there. If you can get hyped on a bottle, this is probably the bottle. Moving to the dropper seat area, we got the BikeYoke 142 Segma Light seat, paired with a 230mm BikeYoke Revive dropper. I believe that's how you say it. Perfectly fits in my frame. I'm 174 centimeters tall. It's about as much as I can get, which is super sick, of course. So that's the dropper and seat combo. Then moving down to drivetrain setup, we got TRP cranks. These are the Evo 12 crank in 165mm length. I tried the 170s. I tried the 165s. Didn't really feel actually that much difference on the descents. I felt a bit of difference in pedaling, but I picked the 165s because I think it has some better pedal efficiency, especially with the shorter legs that I have. We got O-Chain R on there, which is sick because you can change the degrees on the go. So I did quite a lot of testing. Felt like 9 degrees was the go-to for this bike. Crankbrother Mallet DH pedals on there. Big platform, grey color. Looks pretty sexy. Always run those for the last I don't know how many years. I picked the big platform over the smaller Enduro ones because if you have to clip out mid-race, it's a bit easier to stand on the pedals, clip out. We got 104 BCD, 32 tooth sprocket on the front, paired with a TRP Evo 12 chain, Evo 12 cassette, Evo 12 derailleur. So on the back, we got a carbon rear wheel, EXC 1200, basically, from my experience so far, undestroyable or indestructible, however you say that word. Crazy how strong these wheels are. I've tensioned the spokes once since I've had them. Maybe Miha, our mechanic, did it once in Finale, but I've rode with it for 3 months straight, touched the spoke once myself. Rim was still straight as a pancake, and there's no dents, no broken spokes, no flat tires because of broken rims. Crazy how good these are, really. I'm well impressed. The reason why I only have the carbon reel on the back and not as well on the front is when I did the testing in Finale, I felt like I enjoyed the flexiness a little bit more on the front, just a little bit of sensitivity. So that's the current setup, basically dream setup if you ask me. Hub makes pretty good sound too. That's very good. We got a 223 millimeters rotor on the back, bigger rotor on the back than on the front. Reason for that is because I feel like I want more braking power in the rear compared to the front. I know a lot of people do it the other way around, where they brake a lot with the front and less with the rear. Somehow I'm different. So I have the 223 in the rear and I don't feel like I need it on the front. So yeah, 2.3 millimeter thickness on the rear as well. Resin pads, so both rear and front, we have the same pads. We got a Schwalbe Magic Mary on the back, not the radio casing one. As of right now, I still need to do some testing with the radio on the back. But since I've been cranking up the speed quite a bit lately, I feel like I've not really needed the radio casing. But I would say for 99% of the riders that will watch this video, radio casing front and rear is definitely the best combination. The amount of grip you get from the radio casing is insane. The only downfall for guys like me who weigh a little bit more and push the bike a little bit harder, sometimes the tire can burp, especially with the radio casing. It happens maybe a little bit more, and I can already feel like sometimes I burp these tires. So that's why I've not decided to try them in the back. This weekend, for example, I'll be going to do some testing with the team. I can probably tell you more about the tire setup after that. I think we're basically covered everything. Now, I reckon it's time to get into your questions that you asked me on Instagram. Let's do it. So, Pademelon. Let's talk about the Pademelon, which is the steering damper, of course. I tested this after about 2.5 months on the bike. So when I was in the UK, I put it on. When you wind it all the way open, it doesn't have any resistance. So it's perfect for testing. And it has about 4 turns in total. I'm on 2.5 rotations, so it's just over the middle. The easiest way to explain what it does is it's dampening your steering, but only when you get big impact. So when you get small corners, you have to make a tight corner, you don't really feel the difference. Whereas with some other steering dampers, you can feel the resistance all the time. And that's the easiest way for me to explain it. I don't really know any other way to explain it other than giving a lot of examples. But basically, yeah, when you make corners and all of a sudden on a rock garden you get kicked left or right, that's when this thing comes in handy. I think my dad's 2013 Honda CRF 250 even has steering damper on it. So it's not something which is completely new into the whole world, just into the biking world, it's new. George Catwell asked, why 36 or 38 for? So when I did the testing with with the team in Finale. I actually wanted to ride the 36 fork because I tried both forks and I felt that the 36 was a bit more flexy. Even though after all the testing and I felt better, the guys from Fox recommended me to run the 38 because I might crank up the speed, as I actually did as well. And they say because of the flex, it might interrupt the fork's, let's say, way of working. Because if I am, of course, rubbing the insides of the bushings while going through the travel, it adds some resistance. So they recommended me to stay on the 38, and I think at the end it was actually a good thing to do it. But I would also say, if you're looking into buying a new fork and looking for 36 or 38, and you're not riding insane bike park tracks with your enduro bike, I think 36 fork is the way to go for a lot of the riders. That's my answer on why I'm running the 38 versus the 36. What are the new TRP brakes like? Well, I rode the stock brakes at the beginning and then I swapped to these. And I feel like because my hands are not that big and having that little bit of extra adjustability for the brakes, it's nice. Because of course the stock ones, as of right now, don't have them. That's something I can tell about the brakes. More than this, I cannot really say. The brakes are really good, I can tell you that. How many pressure do I ride in my tires? So my go-to pressure with these radio tires is about 1.7 bar, which is about 1.6 or equivalent of a normal tire, let's say. Because with the radio tires, you need to put in about 0.1 bar more. So as of right now, 1.7 on the front is my go-to and then 1.8 on the back. Am I allowed to compare it to the Canyon? I reckon I am. I want to be open and honest with the stuff I do on YouTube and the stuff I tell people in real life and on the internet. I can compare it. I think it's easy to say I'll be faster on this bike. The time tells it. Is it the bike, however, or is it the suspension or the team support which makes the difference? I can't say, but I can definitely say that this bike will make me faster this year. So I think stack height, don't know out of my head, but I'll measure it. So I measure it from here down to the ground. This topic I want to maybe make a separate video on, but a lot of people ask me about why is my handlebar this low? And I feel like making it short but simple answer, you shouldn't change your stack height if you're feeling uncomfortable on steep, and you should change your suspension instead. That's my opinion, but that's a whole different topic. We're not going to go into that in this video. Let's see. So a lot of people have been asking me about my suspension setup since I've put in so many hours into the suspension setup, and it probably actually won't even make sense to give it to you because your riding style might be different, your weight is different, your height is different, your bike is different. Doesn't really make sense. What I can recommend you is go on the Ride Fox website and get the stock settings in if you're lost, and from there on always measure your sag, check the amount of travel you use, and take that in consideration when changing. Sorry that I can't tell you everything. Hope you appreciate it, that I still give you some advice. So regarding the cable routing through the frame instead of through the headset. So this is a race prototype detail of the bike. As of right now, it's not possible to get the frame with the holes in the side. But we did give Simplon this as a feedback to do in the future. And of course you can see we have it. And maybe in the future they will change it. As of right now, it's only possible through the headset when you buy the bike. Someone asked how heavy the bike is, or how heavy the Simplon bike is. Now I can only tell you, of course, the weight it is as of right now, because of course you can look on the website, but that's with different parts and anything. So the total weight of this race spec bike with the bottle, with water in it, storage, Pademelon, O-chain, carbon wheel, aluminium wheel, everything. The bike weighs 18 kilos, which I feel like, to be fair, is pretty legit, especially with a full bottle, which means it's like 17.3 without the bottle, and let's say without the storage in a tube or whatever, might get below 17. I feel like this is good and it pedals efficient, which I think is the most important. So that's the weight of the total build. Someone asked what fuel I'm using. The only good answer is of course toasties or sandwiches, however you want to call it. Favorite tire combo? As of right now, I would say Magic Mary front and rear is my favorite combo. Sometimes if it's really muddy, I will go with a Dirty Dan on the front. And if it's really dry, I will put the Albert in the back. Maybe even in the front, in for example Finale. But I need to do some more testing with that that I'll be doing, for example, this weekend. But I did some testing in Finale and I like the Magic Mary Albert tire combo because the Albert tire gives a bit more grip on the back, especially when it's loose. This tire is, the Magic Mary is a bit too aggressive for some loose dirt. And the Albert Gravity tire also rolls a bit faster than these tires. So that's also good to take in consideration when picking tires for the races, of course. And of course, even riding for fun. So I reckon that sums up all the bike. So no insert in the back, by the way. No inserts at all as of right now. Big change for me. But I actually don't really need it with this carbon wheel. So that's the bike check as of right now. Pretty lovely bike if you ask me. Works like the dream. One of the sick things about the frame is that you only need 2 Allen keys, I believe. Which is sick. Like, make it simple. Yes, thank you, Simplon. Make it simple. Make the bike simple, but work well. I have to make this quick because the memory card is almost full. If you have any questions about the bike, let me know in the comments. I hope I run through everything. If you have any tips on how I should make these videos better, let me know as well. And I'll try to do that in the future. I'm always open for tips. Have a good weekend. Enjoy your bike ride. And see you around. Alright. Thanks. Ciao, ciao.